for longer periods of time. So how are they lecturing anybody on the breakdown of the home? I mean, it's outrageous. It's just changing the subject off of gun sales, because this is all about money and gun sales at the end of the day. And money from the NRA, of course, going into the campaign coffers of these people who are talking. So it's outrageous. It's ridiculous. The Democrats should be laughing them out of the room, but actually they should be very aggressively going right up against them on this issue. I mean, it's so easily messaged, and it's unbelievable to me that Democrats cannot tag them hard every single day on this.
And then you got Mitch McConnell, who goes to the floor and is just dogging Dems, like, calling on them because a guy was arrested outside the home of Justice Kavanaugh, who was there said he was there to kill Kavanaugh. McConnell was like, do this now. Listen to this.
According to the report, a man in his mid-20s was stopped near the house of a Supreme Court justice carrying a weapon and burglary tools. He reportedly told police he intended to murder the justice. Reportedly, he indicated he was angry at the decision he thinks the court may reach in an upcoming case in light of the unconscionable leak from a few weeks back. So this is where we are. This is where we are, Mr. President. If these reports are correct, an assassination attempt against a sitting justice or something close to it. This is exactly the kind of event that many feared that the terrible breach of the court's rules and norms could fuel. This is exactly the kind of event that many worried the unhinged, reckless, apocalyptic rhetoric from prominent figures toward the court going back many months, and especially in recent weeks, could make more likely. This is exactly why the Senate passed legislation very shortly after the leak to enhance the police protection for justices and their families. This is common sense, non-controversial legislation that passed in this chamber unanimously. But House Democrats have spent weeks blocking the measure that passed here unanimously related to security for Supreme Court justices. The House's Democrats have refused to take it up. Now, look, Mr. President, that needs to change, and it needs to change right now. Right now.
Oh, right now. A lot of us say the George Floyd Justice Act needs to happen right now. John Lewis Act right now. For the People Act right now. But Mitch damn sure blocked those things. Folks, what we're dealing with again is a do-nothing Republican Party who will do nothing when it comes to guns, which is why I keep telling y'all can sit here and play games all you want to, but the opportunity to elect anywhere from 3 to 7 Democrats in various state in U.S. Senate positions in November could change all of this. It only happens if people vote. Folks, also the Justice Department have appointed 9 members, including an FBI official and former police chiefs, to examine law enforcement's response to the deadly Uvalde, Texas elementary school shooting. The critical incident review led by the Justice Department's Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services will include inspecting police policies, training communications, and the deployment of officers and tactics. Folks, today, family and friends pay their respects to Annabelle Rodriguez. Family members say the star student loved watching TikTok videos and spending time with her 2 sisters. Annabelle's cousin, Jacqueline Cazares, was her best friend. The 2 girls and 3 others were part of a close-knit quintet of friends. All 5 died in the shooting. Now, folks, check this out. The school district police chief, who's been highly criticized for the delay confronting the gunman, was a no-show for Tuesday's Uvalde City Council meeting. Chief Pete Arredondo just got elected to the City Council. Mayor Don McLaughlin says he doesn't know why Arredondo wasn't at the meeting. Well, he was missing in action when it came to the shooting that day. No surprise, he is running away from the cameras, refusing to answer any questions about what took place on that day. Got to go to a break, folks. We come back, we'll talk what happened in L.A. Congresswoman Karen Bass in a runoff with a rich former Republican, now turned Democrat. Come on, y'all. So we'll talk about that, as well as races in Iowa, Mississippi, Montana, New Jersey, and other states. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
We welcome you to the launch of the Mass Poor People's Low Wage Assembly and Moral March on Washington, D.C., June 18, 2022.
We are a new, unsettling force, and we are powerful. New, unsettling force, and we are here.
We're rising up to demonstrate the compelling power that we, poor and low-income people, have to reconstruct society from the bottom up.
And we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible.
Because we know that there is no scarcity in this land. The only scarcity is the moral will to do what's right.
Hold on, just a little while longer.
We are those with sub-minimum wage jobs who can't afford sky-high rent.
People with disabilities are the fastest growing minority group.
It's crazy to me that in 2021, it's still legal for workplaces to pay a sub-minimum wage to people with disabilities.
There are still so much trial and tribulations that we go through as Indigenous people. We can't get a decent wage to sustain ourselves, nor can we get adequate housing.
Veterans across this nation say enough is enough. We can't pat essential workers on the back on one day and then cut their health care the next day.
Health is a political choice.
What more do I need to do to prove that my voice is just as valuable as anyone else's?
There are still forces in denial that would try to slow walk our transition to a clean economy and a just future for us all.
We have an immoral system run by immoral people.
But together we walk, and we walk and we fight.
It's time for a change!
Reconstruyamos esta gran nación!
See, we are people of resilience. As we fight these interlocking injustices together.
When we work together, mobilize together, and rise together, we become a voice for the voiceless, and we become an agent of change in a time where great change is needed.
We need the third Reconstruction to ensure that deaf people, people with disabilities, and all people can have the right to live and to thrive.
We know what they are doing, but the question is, what are we going to do? Reconstruction begins when we change our mentality and say it's time for you to get your foot off of my neck.
Justice is coming soon.
Hey! Do you believe that I'm today?
I'm Angie Stone.
Hi, I'm Teresa Griffin.
Oh, Roland. Hey, Roland, I am so disappointed that you are not here, first of all. Where's our dance? It's like we get a dance in every time I see you. And so now you're not here for me to dance with, sir. You and your ascot. I need it. I need that in my life right now. Okay, I love you, Roland.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, so there were elections yesterday, local, state elections in California. Congresswoman Karen Bass will face businessman Rick Caruso in a runoff to be the next mayor of Los Angeles. That will take place in November. November. He spent millions of dollars of his own money raising his profile and to vault to the second position. And so now those two will square off again in November. In San Francisco, the DA got the boot there as a result of folks upset with crime. Chase Boutin was criticized as being too soft on crime. As a result, the voters voted him out. San Francisco's Mayor London Breed will appoint a new DA to the position. In Iowa's U.S. Senate race, retired Navy Admiral Mike Franken wins the Democratic nomination and will face off against incumbent Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, who's 89 years old. In Iowa, Democrat Deidre DeJar becomes the first black nominee for governor. DeJar will face off against the incumbent Republican Kim Reynolds in the fall. And so that's catching up on those elections there. Now time for our Black and Missing. All right, folks. Taijay Baker was last seen leaving her New York home on May 1st. The 23-year-old is 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs 140 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Taijay's family says she was on her way to Washington, D.C. She was last seen wearing a black sweater, gray shorts, and a white top at the Union Station bus terminal here in D.C. Anyone with information about Taijay Baker should call the New York City Police Department, 718-827-3548, 718-827-3548. Now, we know that there are, you know what, let's just go ahead and play Crazy Ass White People. I think it's appropriate. Go ahead and play it.
Girls are allowed. I'm white. I got you, girl. Illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey! Give me your ass.
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
Majority of players in the NFL we know are black, but you've got a lot of coaches and executives who are living in a cesspool of MAGA hate. That includes Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. Used to be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, longtime NFL assistant. Well, if you look at his Twitter feed, it's a cesspool of retweeting Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, those idiots, those two, with that individual and the organization that he founded. So Del Rio sent a tweet out yesterday speaking to the issue. Let's just say he was not happy at all with the January 6th investigation. And so he sent some tweets out questioning why you're going to see an investigation into January 6th, but not an investigation into the Black Lives Matter events. Also, you know, this is, he retweets all kind of crazy stuff as well. Now, he's since deleted that particular tweet where he talked about why the January 6th investigation. Well, today, they had a news conference. Oh, and he actually decided to talk, y'all. Listen.
I just asked a simple question, really. Let's get right down to it. What did I ask? A simple question. Why are we not looking into those things? If we're going to talk about it, why are we not looking into those things? Because it's kind of hard for me to say. I can realistically look at it. I see the images on TV. People's livelihoods are being destroyed. Businesses are being burned down. No problem. And then we have a dust up at the Capitol. Well, there's nothing burned down. And we're not going to talk about, we're going to make that a major deal. I just think it's kind of two standards. And if we apply the same standard and we're going to be reasonable with each other, let's have a discussion. That's all it was. Let's have a discussion. We're Americans. Let's talk it through. I'm for us, having a great opportunity to have a fulfilled life. Like I said, every which way I can. When I'm here, it's about love and respect. I love my guys. I respect my guys. But I also love the fact that I'm an American, and that means I'm free to express myself. And I'm not afraid to do
that. Well, shortly after he made those comments, he posted this on Twitter. I made comments earlier today in referencing the attack that took place on the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Referencing that situation as a dust-up was irresponsible and negligent, and I am sorry. I stand by my comments condemning violence in communities across the country. I say that while also expressing my support as an American citizen for peaceful protests in our country. I have fully supported all peaceful protests in America. I love, respect, and support all of my fellow coaches, players, and staff that I work with and respect their views and opinions. Lauren, he was talking big shit at the news conference. He had a whole lot to say in front of the cameras. But when that comment went around on social, somebody grabbed their iPhone, pulled up the notes app, and begin to bang this out because I got the feeling it was going to be a rebellion.
Oh, yes, indeed.
In that locker room.
Oh, yes. You better believe there was going to be a rebellion in that locker room. I mean, I can't speak for John Allen and Chase Young, but somebody was bound to get stuffed into a locker at some point right at the front. I think they're in OTAs now, but if not OTAs, training camp. I mean, Jack Del Rio needs to stick to defensive schemes and pretty much keep his mouth shut about politics. And, you know, I don't want to get too ideological because, you know, Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich and some other coaches tend to talk politics. And Steve Kerr certainly talks politics very strongly on the gun issue. And so I don't want to be sitting up here saying that Del Rio isn't allowed to say anything. But what he said was absolutely stupid and incomprehensible. You really couldn't even figure out really what he was saying, other than that I think he wanted to just say something negative, of course, about Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd protest. It's always interesting, too, when that comes up and people bring up property and not the life lost of George Floyd. Like, the property thing is always more important than somebody dying. I mean, this is unbelievable. And those football players, particularly on the Redskins, they're going to hear that, you know, and be like, wait a minute, who am I working for? What are we doing? He should keep his mouth shut, because that he's got a lot of smart players on the I shouldn't say Washington Redskins, Washington Commanders, of course, and they're bound to like say something. It's embarrassing, and it's particularly embarrassing when you know that Jack Del Rio knows that most of the players that he's coaching are African American. So you say that knowing that, and it never occurs to you that that might be a problem at the next practice. That makes absolutely no sense.
It doesn't, and it did not sit well with a former member of the team, Brian Mitchell, longtime NFL player, played for Washington and Philadelphia. He has a sports show here in D.C. This is what he said. I don't give a damn about Ron Rivera getting mad at somebody having a practice collision until he gets off his ass and addresses this damn idiot that he hired as a defensive coordinator. That's what I give a damn about. And if he can't do it, then he's the wrong damn man to be leading this damn football team. How do you expect anybody on that team to be straightforward when you've got a guy like that in the defensive coordinator position? Sounds like B. Mitch is not too particularly happy with Jack Del Rio, Robert. Robert?
Well, look, Roland, this is part of the issue. I think that we can all just agree. It's time for Dan Snyder to sell that team. You gotta burn that thing down, and you've got to just try to rebuild from the ashes, because every single year, there's a different Washington Commander scandal, whether it's the Redskin name change scandal, whether it's the John Gruden emails, which were Dennis Allen, the former official of the Washington Redskins, where he's calling people the N-word and talking about DeMaurice Smith's lips look like tires, and calling Roger Goodell the F-word and this, then the other. You have the sexual harassment scandal that's currently going on in the litigation around that, which is also the Washington Commanders. These are just the scandals I can think of off the top of my head. They do not hire the best people, as one of our former presidents was often to say. And it's clear. This goes to one of Monique's points from earlier. When we talk about, well, maybe when we get younger people, they'll grow up, they'll have more diverse environments, being around more African Americans, they won't have these views. There's something that happens to old white folks. I don't care where they're raised, I don't care what happens. That MAGA gets into them. And it's some kind of virus. It eats away at your brain, it eats away at your soul. And that's, you know, you're giving up a multi-million-dollar contract so that you can run off into the MAGA-verse. We saw it happen with Kurt Schilling, the pitcher for Boston. He got into that MAGA, he went crazy with it. We see it all the time. But at the end of the day, it seems like the Washington Commanders are just rotting from the inside out. It's time for new ownership. It's time to clean house completely like they do every couple of years. It ain't like they winning the damn thing. So sell the team, get new people in there. I think they'll bring a shaman in there to burn some sage around the locker room. The whole thing needs to be fixed and cleansed from the inside out.
The thing here, Monique, is simple, and that is when you look at these coaches, you look at these executives, many of them are right-wing Republicans, MAGA lovers. And so Jack Del Rio, all you got to do, just follow his Twitter feed. You will see exactly where he stands. He loves to retweet Charlie Kirk and Turn the Point USA.
Yeah, I would like to ensure that every member of the Commanders, but especially on defense, have a copy of The Revolt of the Black Negro by Dr. Harry Edwards. And they need Sociology of Sport while they're at it. And B. Mitch is on the right path with his response about this. I saw also something that Reese said on Twitter, pointing out what Lauren and Robert already have. These coaches are sending majority Black professional athletes who they think of as boys into harm's way in the play of the game, and not having any respect whatsoever for Black lives. Once that is evident, I don't see how a player can have confidence that their coach or coordinator has their best interests, their safety, their well-being in mind in the decisions that are made about whether they play or whether they don't, whether they go back in or not, the routes that they play, if they are just part of expediency, if they truly are just machinery, or, you know, are they part of the equipment? And Harry Edwards, I don't think right now he can talk about it maybe that much because I think he works for the NFL, but he's loud on the inside. I don't know, but his work is out there and it speaks for him. And I know that he mentored Cap in a lot of the moves that he made on the outside of the system. And I really think that I care about them being educated enough to say, we don't want to work for and report to and have our lives in the hands of someone who let his whole slip show, who said the quiet part out loud. He can't take it back. And frankly, he wasn't even trying to. And it's not just, as Lauren said, that he doesn't care about death and cares more about property. He called January 6th a dust up.
Yes, a dust up.
And it was for the overthrow.
Nothing got destroyed. Nothing got burned down.
Of our freaking government. And the threats were against the lives of the vice president, of the Speaker of the House. I mean, on and on. He's one of them. Let's just put it at that. He's one of them. And B. Mitch was right. So Rivera needs to be concerned about his coaching staff.
Now, in his statement, he said, hold up. In his statement, he said that he supports all peaceful protest.
Yeah, and
wait. He lied.
Well, but
no, Monique, stop. Okay. Guys, come on. Come on. He lied.
Okay.
I said he lied. He was against the peaceful protest against the national anthem. Yeah. When he was with the Raiders. See, this is where, again, when you can bust these liars. When you can bust these liars.
But it's also...
So that they love, hold up. See, It's a whole bunch of Jack Del Rios in the NFL who are coaches, who are general managers, who are head of player personnel, who are team presidents, who are owners. Now Jack, all of a sudden trying to, I got to apologize. Yeah, because there was blowback. So Jack, come on. You lied. You don't support all peaceful protests. You were not supportive of what Colin was doing, the other players were doing. You were not. You showed who you really are. And that's what everybody now sees. We know exactly who you are. You said the quiet part out loud. That's what he did, Lauren and Robert.
So I think that sometimes these guys are daring these black players to do something about when they mouth off. It's like sort of like, let's see how far I can push it before one of these guys says something to me. Well, they're going to get their wish, because the players that come up now are not just going to stand by and listen to this type of thing and not say anything. I mean, there's going to be at the minimum a conversation, because at the end of the day, these black players, these are the people that people come to see. These are the people who buy tickets for. These are the people who bring the gate. Nobody buys a ticket to the NFL to see some coach on the sideline. Nobody cares about who the damn coach is. You watch football on Sunday, you're watching to see the game, you're watching to see the players. And I think these little things, he's seeing, let me see if I can say stuff to poke the bear and see if somebody's going to say something and do something. Well, he's going to get his wish. He's going to get his wish, because there's a lot of players on that Commanders team that aren't just going to, I'm sure he probably heard from them, and that's why you saw that statement.
Well, keep in mind, the team president of the Washington is also black.
Right.
So
James Wright.
So this ain't no, and the thing here, Robert, this is also where I would love for one of those players to invite some of those cops who were at the Capitol on January 6th to a practice.
Boy.
I would love for one of those former cops to stand with those players and they say, share with us what happened on January 6th. I would love to see some of those players would come out to the practice field with shirts on. January 6th was a domestic terror attack, and on the back say it was no dust up. I would love for them to do that and then say something. I get the right to express myself like you did.
But look, Roland, see, your issue is you're still operating in the realm of reality. Remember that once you are infected with that MAGA mind disease, reality becomes multiple choice. You get to pick what happened and what didn't happen. It doesn't matter what actually happened. And if you ask these MAGA that had one on my radio show earlier, they'll swear up and down that it was all a false flag event. All those thousands of people we saw were all paid actors, that all the cops who were injured weren't really injured, or the people who died didn't really die, and that it's almost like a Jedi mind trick they're trying to play. And it's not that they're lying, because you're saying they're lying. They believe it. And if you put them on a polygraph, you put them on a lie detector, you gave them truth serum right now, they would believe all this stuff 100%. That's what's far more insidious. So instead of trying to convince these people of the existence of reality, you have to work on cleansing these people from society. Why does Jack Del Rio keep getting these retread jobs? He was the coach in Jacksonville. He sucked. He was the coach of the Raiders. He sucked. He keeps getting job after job despite not really doing anything the last 20 years. Is because of this continuous system, the good old boy network, where going back to the Brian Flores lawsuit, where you're not giving qualified African Americans an opportunity to even get their foot in the door, but someone like Jack Del Rio and his MAGA belief system, which comports with the MAGA belief system of many of the owners, is able to keep getting job after job and accumulate tens of millions of dollars. Just think about the fact the Raiders' last two coaches, one of them was John Gruden, and the one before that was Jack Del Rio. You look at everything going on in Washington. We have to figure out how to Congress needs to be going after their antitrust exemptions. We need to make sure that we are opening up their books, find out just how deep this rot goes. Because even though these black players are making these owners millions of dollars, these owners are taking that money and donating it to Republican candidates. We're donating it to these Stop the Steal people, to the MAGA people who are oppressing the rest of us. So I think that we have to work on breaking these things down and opening that organization up, that they're going to continue to depend on the United States government for the antitrust exemptions and them taxpayers to build these billion-dollar stadiums.
And so this was the actual tweet that he sent out. Would love to understand the whole story about why the summer of riots, looting, burning, and the destruction of personal property is never discussed, but this is #common sense. That was the initial tweet that actually spurned all of this. And then, now mind you, he said some, y'all, he said some other stuff, because right before the comment, this is what he said. Oh, if they are on any concern about players taking issue with the tweets, if they are and they want to talk about it, I'll talk about it with anybody. Yeah, no problem, at any time. But they're not. I'm just expressing myself, and I think we all as Americans have the right to express ourselves, especially if you're being respectful. I'm being respectful. I just asked a simple question. See, he's doing that little Tucker Carlson little trick, Monique. I'm just asking a question. Why are y'all getting upset? I'm just asking a question.
Right, but black folks, you know, I've been in that studio. Ain't no black folks reporting to Tucker Carlson. Ain't nothing but white folks. My concern is for the people who have to look this cat in the face every day and are put in harm's way every day and are doing these jobs and are supposed to be treated like professionals, and are living with the threat of this man. Of course, they're not saying anything. Of course, they're not expressing to the defensive coordinator, who has their professional careers, their livelihoods, Mama Nim's house, Booger, Tata, Lucretia, all of them, they rent money? No, they're not saying nothing. That's why B. Mitch, as a former player, was free to say something. And I texted him about it, and I can't say out loud what he responded to. Let's just say he meant it. But no, I think it's up to all of us to understand that you can still be in a harassing environment, a stressful environment, an environment where your employer has the upper hand and can do things like this, make for these climates, and not be free to say anything unless you have power in numbers. And so again, Dr. Harry Edwards, people, find your way.
All right, y'all. Let's talk about this story here. 6 Special Olympic athletes from the Haitian men's soccer team are missing. 32-year-old Alton Joseph Milthon, 20-year-old Nicholas Fortalis, and others. All 4 of these players, folks, were last seen on Monday around 2:30 in Kissimmee, Florida, near the ESPN Worldwide Sports Complex. The Osceola County Sheriff's Office says the players turned in their room keys and left behind all bags and personal belongings. No foul play is suspected in their disappearance. The Haitian Special Olympics Committee released this statement about the 6 missing men. Local law enforcement is working to locate 6 missing members of the Haiti delegation participating in the 2022 Special Olympics USA Games in Orlando, Florida. The reason for the departure from the games is currently unknown. The individuals are all adults, 5 of whom are not Special Olympic athletes, and 1 who is an adult with intellectual disability. The well-being of these delegates is our foremost concern. Local authorities have indicated they have no reason to believe the health and safety of any of the individuals is at risk. To expand the reach and effectiveness of law enforcement's efforts to locate these individuals, they have been reported as missing persons. Please direct all questions to Nerva Rodriguez with the Osceola County Sheriff's Office at 407-969-7630, 407-969-7630. And the players were there to compete in this year's games that begin on June 5th and will run through June 12th. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back, more Roland Martin Unfiltered. Don't forget, folks, to hit the like button on YouTube. We should be at 1,000 likes by now. Hit share and like button on Facebook as well. And download the Black Star Network app on all platforms: Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. And, of course, please, if you could join our Bring the Funk fan club, every dollar you give goes to support this show. Check in money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
On a Next A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking all things mental health and how helping others can help you. We all have moments where we have struggles, and on this week's show, our guests demonstrate how helping others can also help you. Why you should never stop giving and serving others on a Next A Balanced Life here on Black Star Network.
I'm Dr. Greg Carr. And coming up on The Next Black Table, we're speaking with Dr. Lucius T. Outlaw Jr., master teacher and philosopher. He takes us on his journey to discover and celebrate Black philosophy.
From my undergraduate years at Fisk all the way through my PhD, I was never in a philosophy class where I had a professor who was a person of African descent, nor a sign of text written by a person of African descent, ever.
How he pushed back at those who said there was no such thing, and got us all thinking about what it means to be Black. That's on The Next Black Table, exclusively on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm BB Winans.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson. What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, y'all, so Juneteenth is now a national holiday. Now, those of us in Texas, we are familiar with this because it's been a state holiday for a number of years, and so we know how to behave on Juneteenth. But you know, anytime holidays come up, corporations and other groups do their best to try to capitalize best they can. Remember we told y'all the ice cream at Walmart that got kicked to the curb? Well, now in Iowa Children's Museum, let's just say they had to get their hands slapped as well because they were offering the Juneteenth watermelon salad. And people took offense to that. I saw it was the Children's Museum of Indianapolis. They posted this Juneteenth Jamboree event, and one of the food items was this watermelon salad. A user reported the menu item to be offensive and perpetuating stereotypes. The museum issued the apology. As a museum, we apologize and acknowledge the negative impact that stereotypes have in Black communities. The salad has been removed from the menu. We're currently reviewing how we may best convey these stories and traditions during this year's Juneteenth celebration, as well as making changes around how future food selections are made by our food service provider. Our food service provider uses the food and beverage menu to commemorate and raise awareness of holidays like Juneteenth. The team that made the selection included their staff members who based this choice of food on their own family traditions. As we work to create a culture of empowerment and inclusivity, we know there will be stumbles along the way. As a museum, we have put a significant effort behind sharing the critical and diverse stories of a wide range of individuals. We also have placed a strong emphasis on expanding DEI initiatives throughout the museum. We resolve to do better and continue bringing all voices forward in our work. Okay, so here's the question. I'll start with you, Monique. Is that being too sensitive, them having a watermelon salad? Are people being sensitive or are they wrong?
Oh, you see my grin? All I was thinking the whole time is, dang, that was probably a good ass salad.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I'm just like, we probably, you know what, Robert? That it was looking tasty, truly.
I mean, they had the feta and stuff on it, and yeah, that I might make one later. It looks like, do they have like a recipe online?
It seemed like it had a little bit of feta on the top of it or something. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's looking that I 100%. And see, that's it. It's all about the packaging and the labeling. You needed to say Juneteenth salad and let the watermelon be present. They need to call people about these things so they can do what they're trying to do without, listen, I don't know. These are the things that need to come before like a family vote. Because either watermelon is part of our soul food tradition or not, and we are going to buck against the stereotypes that go with it, the fried chicken, the watermelon, the whatever. I like all those things. Like, it's a big old thing of watermelon in my refrigerator right now. My kids just can't wait for summer. I don't.
Right. So here's the deal. I mean, that's again, the only reason I'm putting it out here. I mean, again, when I think about Juneteenth celebrations, we barbecue and we had watermelon. It was there. So the question, Robert, is again, we've seen this story happen other times before. Is this a question of folks being too sensitive? Again, when Walmart had the ice cream, they put a label on it that was, in celebration of Juneteenth. People are looking to try to attach things to it. So the question is, are we being too sensitive, or should we be exposed? And again, one person complained, and all of a sudden they changed the whole deal. So how should these things be handled?
Look, this is absolutely the case with people being too damn sensitive about every damn thing on earth. Where are we going to have a Juneteenth kale salad or something? Like, what connection would that have to Juneteenth? I mean, are we going to have a quinoa and couscous salad for Juneteenth all of a sudden? Let's be for real. We got way bigger racial issues to handle in this country other than the watermelon and feta salad. But what I do think these corporations need to do is, and this is all across the board, I don't care what the issue is, hire some black people. So when you're going to make your Juneteenth ice cream, just hire a black company to do it. And then if people are up in arms, you say, look, there's the black company that made the ice cream. Y'all talk to them. We were doing the right thing. If you hire some black caterers or a black vendor to put the Juneteenth salad together, and then look, how about you put a nice little message on the bottom explaining the cultural relevance of the food to the community and how it was referenced to Juneteenth. You could do those to perfect it. Well, these people just found out what Juneteenth was like 18 months ago. So they're going through their growing pains. But I absolutely think this is too sensitive, but put more black folks in the room, and you'll have better outcomes.
So, Lauren, there was someone on YouTube says, but they don't try this. They don't try this with Jewish people in the Holocaust. Actually, you're wrong. The reality is, when you have Passover, when you have Jewish holidays or events, you're going to grocery stores and there'll be kosher sections. So that's actually a lie. So I mean, yeah. And also, they're not Holocaust. They're Holocaust remembrances. Okay, and again, for the people who don't know anything about Juneteenth, again, when General Granger arrived on the shores of Galveston, Texas, to notify enslaved people that they actually had been free for a couple of years. He was also there with thousands of black troops to ensure nothing actually happened. And so ever since then in Texas, black people celebrated Juneteenth. Juneteenth is the only day or the only event in America where it actually even acknowledges that slavery even existed. So the question then should be, Lauren, how do we commemorate, celebrate? So again, commemorating is one thing, celebrating is another. There are events happening all over the places. There's a whole concert being planned in Houston. Mayor Sylvester Turner at Emancipation Park, Sheila E., Frankie Beverly and Mays, the Isley Brothers. There are events that are going on. There's a big celebration happening here in Washington, D.C. as well. And so, all right, what should be done on that day?
Well, yeah, to Robert's point, obviously there should be some cultural connection to how Juneteenth is commemorated that involves black people and involves African Americans controlling what that is and really any money that's made off of it. Though again, to Robert's point, I think generally speaking, not just Black people, but just everybody, we're way too sensitive about everything. Everybody is way too sensitive about everything. I mean, like we're seeing like 2,000 more think pieces over this type of stuff. And we're sitting up here, in the midst of losing our democracy, dealing with a rise in white supremacy, dealing with people's kids getting murdered at school. And when these hearings happen tomorrow night, some spectacular details are going to be emerging from that as well. So when you put that all into perspective, and we're talking about salads and ice cream, I think that the branding certainly should be connected to the history of Juneteenth, but we just live right now in a very sensitive era where one person melting down can cause an entire change in corporate decision making, and sometimes more than one person. Sometimes it's just a group of people on Twitter or something like that. But we live in the age of the meltdown, and we live in the age of everybody being outraged about everything and flipping out about everything and not having any real perspective about the bigger issues in life. So, to your original question, I think we are too sensitive. But to Robert's point, we do need to connect some of these things to, Black people and Black people making cash, quite frankly.
Well, and that's okay. So, again, when we talk about Juneteenth, look, there's going to be a big concert at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles. And I was, I forgot which one of the networks is going to be broadcasting it. I was looking at that. I think CNN is broadcasting it. And so all of a sudden, we've seen in the last couple of years how, national media all of a sudden, start doing Juneteenth things. And so, all right, so I got 3 Black folks on the panel here. Okay, what Juneteenth celebrations should there be? What should be happening in cities across the country? What should they look like? Should it be about picnics, barbecues, cookouts, and music and concerts? What should they be?
You're going to come to me first, right?
Well, you already talking first.
Well, yes, but I'm also the only person on this panel who is from Galveston, Texas.
Well, you ain't you were the only person on the but you're on the panel. But I got you. You already talking. Just talk.
Okay, I'm staking my claim to
D-Town. Lord, just talk. Just talk.
The home of Juneteenth. I'm talking the place where the commemoration, where the announcement took place at Ashton Villa, which is just few blocks away from my childhood home where my grown parents still live. My great-grandfather was actually living in Galveston, Texas the day that this was announced, and they're commemorating the event now. In front of the Ashton Villa is a statue of State Rep Edwards, who was responsible, on his own for a very long time, for the labor of bringing this to be first a state holiday and then a national holiday. So I think that anything that happens has to involve an education, especially now, because this is a holiday that many people who are not part of the Southern tradition or have never celebrated don't understand why there is a cause for celebrating it. And there even was, just a friction within our own Black community about whether it's important to celebrate it or whether it highlights and glorifies the late telling of freedom that we never should have been apart from in the first place. Well, look, as Roland said, it's the only time that we are acknowledging as a country that this happened and that it course corrected, sort of. Through the Emancipation Proclamation. And so I think education is important. I think celebration is important. I think that us having patience as we do our own type of person-on-person education is important. And that all of the Black folks who are out there, who are in the PR world, who know how to do messaging, this is your gig, folks. You need to be reaching out to everybody from Apple to Coca-Cola to Pepsi. Ben and Jerry's has it. They got it on lock. They know how to do this stuff. So whoever's working for them needs to be working for other people. But my point is, it's a national holiday. So as Black folks, we need to be patient. Unless we want to say this is like NIGGA, something we think we can say, we can celebrate, but nobody else can. It's too late for that. It's a national holiday now, and we want everybody to know about it. So if we want to be a part of it, we need to lead the way and just teach about how to do it and be okay with sharing in it. Now, I don't want to see a whole bunch of white folks getting together and frying chicken and eating watermelon and saying that they're celebrating Juneteenth. That's their commemoration. That I would find offensive. Though fried chicken is good and watermelon is good, there are other ways that we can celebrate. The same as 4th of July. The Holocaust is not a good example, but 4th of July, for your listeners, I'm saying 4th of July, it is commercialized up the wazoo, as unfortunately is Christmas, is Easter. So Juneteenth now being federalized, that's going to happen. We just have to try as best as possible to have a part in the way that it's done.
Lauren, I think it is important that folk, and I'm always saying, Damar and I discussed this last night after the show, look, focus on the money. This is where Black organizations should be making it clear who is getting paid off of this. If Black people are not getting paid, shut it down. If you want all of a sudden celebrate Juneteenth, shut it down. And so I would hope folks are looking at it from that point of view as well. Where's our money?
Yeah, I mean, that's where we should be sensitive. You want to get sensitive about something, or let's get sensitive about who's making the money and who owns the copyrights. And
yeah, I mean, was it a Black catering company that did the watermelon salad?
Right, exactly. Get sensitive. Let's blow up Twitter over that. I mean, it's all about that. It's all about owning that brand and controlling what happens and making the money off of it. I mean, we just see it over and over again. Obviously, Roland, you talk about it all the time, appropriately, of course. And that's, again, I think it was Robert that brought this point up about Jack Del Rio, to get back to that for a second. These players bring the money in, and you got some coach on the sideline saying something that is a slap in the face to those players that are bringing the money in, that's paying his salary. Something like this that is has a direct relationship to Black history. Black people should be making the money off of it. Yeah, that's right. And that should be something that we're raising a ruckus over, when these things come up.
Robert?
All right, I got three things. One, Rainbow Push will be commemorating Juneteenth during our national conference. It's going to be June 18th through the 22nd in Chicago. Go to rainbowpush.org. You can register. Once you all come out, we get speakers, panels. It's going to be outstanding. Thanks for reminding me to bring that up. Number two, and I stole this idea from Dave Allen Greer. I think we should turn it into a Liberation Day idea, where we're celebrating Black liberation, not just here, but around the globe. I think we should be doing things like a Nat Turner reenactment, a Stonewall Rebellion reenactment, reenactment of the Battle of Isandlwana, the reenactment of the Haitian Rebellion and the Maroons and those sorts of things. To remind our people that we weren't just always in shackles, in chains, getting beat by white people, which is the only way they really talk about slavery in this country, that we were just kind of somewhere shuffling around. No, we fought for our freedom. We fought for our independence. We fought for the ability. They didn't just let us go because they felt like it. We were active participants in that. So I think that we have to make sure we highlight that, and that we're bringing the parts of history that are uncomfortable for a lot of people, but also are very prescient for our community, because that fortifies you, it gives you strength. As Frantz Fanon said, it's about having that liberation story, the cleansing nature of rebellion. And I think that's something that we need to be highlighting, instead of just always, 12 years a slave and those sorts of things that help that kind of stuff when it comes to the history of Black folks in this country. Tertiarily, I did look up that salad. So it is feta, watermelon, English cucumbers, mint, and a little bit of sliced red onions with a red wine vinaigrette. So I'm about to put it in an Instacart order after that.
Yes. Roland,
I'm here for all of that. I'm available for all of those things currently.
I'm available for the salad, and can I have a comment, please?
Go.
Roland? Okay, I just wanted to add to commemorations available. If you're looking for the most beautiful island in the United States where you could celebrate Juneteenth, then go to Galveston, Texas. This Juneteenth, they are going to have, there's a National Miss Juneteenth who's going to be there, and there's going to be a gospel performance at the Grand Ole Opera House in Galveston, Texas, which is the oldest opera house in Texas. Roland Martin has been a speaker, a premiered speaker for a Juneteenth at that opera house. There's going to be a parade, good old-fashioned parade. There's fireworks, and then there's on the actual date, June 19th, which is also the day that my grandparents, Mr. and Mrs. William Hunter Sr. were married. There's a commemoration at the Ashton Villa of the reading by Gordon Granger of the proclamation declaring us free. So go to Galveston. There's beach in it for you, and great hotels and really good food. There might even be a watermelon feta salad or two. Try it.
So let me say this in terms of Juneteenth. So today is June 8th. There are 11 days until June 19th. First, that was always for my family, really 3 different celebrations, typically on the day. 1, my sister Kenya was born on that day, so that was always a birthday. 2, June 19th is also Father's Day. And so typically Father's Day falls on June 19th as well. So let's not act like daddies don't exist. It's also Father's Day. But to Robert's point, one of the things that for me that I associate Juneteenth, which also has been one of the consistent things in Texas, it's freedom. So it wasn't just, oh, Juneteenth. No, it was freedom. And so those of you who are watching, those of you who are planning events, your events should be focused on freedom. And you should not be putting it within the context of they got their freedom on this day in 1865. What you have to understand is that the celebrations in Texas have always focused on the continuing quest for freedom of Black people. And so you would go to numerous Juneteenth events in Houston where voter registration would be taking place. You would go to numerous events where you might have panels and talks, and it wasn't just looking back, it was about the continuing effort for freedom. And so that particular point, when we talked about economics, in terms of advancing it, that also has to be on our minds collectively as African Americans. When we're talking about freedom, we also have got to talk about money. Because when you have money, you have the freedom to make decisions that impact you, yourself, your family, and your community. And so I get people all the time who ask me, man, why is it that you always talking about the money? Because I keep trying to explain to y'all, if you walk 2 blocks from here to the White House, there's a building to the left, on the left side, that shares a lawn with the White House, and it's called the Treasury Department. And if you want to know where all the banks are in D.C., they literally are in a 2-block radius of the White House and Treasury, because they understand money. White House is power, Treasury Department is money. Treasury is money, White House is power. If you don't understand America, then you don't understand money. And if you're talking about money, you're talking about America. And so we have to understand this reality. And so what we have got to start doing, those of us who have been educated on this reality, we have got to stop having Black people walking around so blindly supporting others who do not support us. King talked about that in Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community, his last book written in 1967. And so that should be our state of mind. We should be asking ourselves, if there are Juneteenth celebrations happening at facilities, are those Black-owned facilities? If you're having events there and you need speakers and audio systems, the question is, are there Black-owned audio visual companies? If you're live streaming the events, are Black-owned companies doing the live streaming? Are you using Black-owned caterers? Are you using Black-owned transportation companies getting folks back and forth? That has to be our state of mind. A whole bunch of y'all keep talking about reparations, which really is you going asking somebody that don't look like you to cut you a check. But the question I got to challenge Black folks on, are you literally cutting a check to other Black people? Now, see, I know I'm stepping on some of y'all toes right now because, see, now I'm forcing you to have to get a mirror and look at yourself. See, it's real easy for some of y'all in the chat room and on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Snapchat and Tumblr and fan base and all the platforms. It's real easy to say, man, we should be doing this. But the question is, what are you actually doing? The question is, are we literally practicing what we are saying needs to be done? It's easy for us to say that Pepsi or Coca-Cola or McDonald's or Walmart or Ford or GM or Chrysler or any of these companies, what they should be doing when it comes to supporting Black-owned businesses. The question is, are we doing that as well? Are we making that part of our ask? And when I say our ask, that literally has to be top of mind when it comes to when we begin to book events. Who's taking the photos? Is it a Black photographer? Who's shooting the videos? Is it a Black video production company? So I'm tired of hearing people talk about, man, the dollar don't do this and do that in our community. Well, maybe that's because it doesn't even start with us. It means, so freedom has to go beyond us having conversations about mass incarceration and criminal justice reform. If you deal with money in America, it's going to be a trickle-down effect to every single problem impacting Black people. Take your pick. Health, education, crime, all of that. John Hope Bryant, founder of Operation Hope, often says, you ain't never seen a riot in a neighborhood with a credit score of 700 or higher. So we should be focused on money on Juneteenth. And so if you're going to Juneteenth events, you should be asking that question, who is getting paid from this event? And if they're scared to answer, because it's probably not folk who look like us. When we come back, we're going to talk about the issue of money. My next guest lost $1 million, and she's like, I am not going to let my children and my children's children do the exact same thing that I did. You don't want to miss this next segment, our Tech Talk segment, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Don't forget to hit the like button on YouTube and Facebook. We should be at more than 1,000 likes by now. Also, please support us by downloading our Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. And of course, you can support us by joining our Bring the Funk Fan Club, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. If you want to send a check or money order, you can also send your donation to Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo is RM Unfiltered, Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. I'll be right back.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, you'll hear from Elizabeth Davis. She left a flourishing career in the construction industry to build her own business using her same skill sets. And oh, by the way, now a multi-million-dollar business.
Every day I was looking at my numbers rather than looking at them weekly or monthly. When you're first starting your business, my recommendation is look at your numbers every day, because are they balancing out each day? If they're not balancing out for 3 days in a row, that means your week is going to be off.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Vivian Green.
Hi, I'm Wendell Pierce, actor and author of The Wind in the Reeds.
Hey, yo, Peace World, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
All right, folks, have you ever lost $1 million? My next guest has. She lost that during the stock, lost it in the stock in the bubble burst of 2001. She made it her mission to prevent that kind of financial loss from happening again to herself and to her children. Tanya Van Court created the app Goal Setter, which teaches children about financial literacy. Children learn healthy financial practices by using quizzes, memes, and games. She joins us right now. I'm glad to have you on the show. Tanya, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you doing, Roland? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing great. So what happened in 2001?
So in 2000, I was working at a company in Silicon Valley. They gave me a bunch of stock and stock options, and I had no idea what to do with them. Nobody in my family ever talked about stock. Nobody in my family owned stock. So I just left them there, left them to the side, didn't know about diversification, didn't know about asset allocation. In 2001, that stock was worth about $1 million. And the big tech bubble burst, and that $1 million at the beginning of the day went down to about $20,000 by the end of the day.
Wow. So when you got, when you joined, it's a great point because I've heard so many other people actually talk about this when they join companies, and they literally don't know about vesting, don't know, when can I sell? When can I buy? How much more? Stock splits, none of that stuff. I mean, it literally is an example of when you don't know, you don't know.
When you don't know, you don't know. And when we don't know as a people and as a culture, it means that we do what we've always had to do, which is lose out. Because if you don't know, you're going to lose out on the opportunities that everybody else knows about and you don't.
And the point that I made earlier, when I talked about money, how that provides freedom. I mean, when you don't have debt, when you have $1 million that's in the bank when you've cashed out, or use the example, like here's Elon Musk who is using his Tesla stock as a way to get financing and not paying any taxes on that. It's understanding this financial system that was not set up to benefit us, but we damn sure are in it.
We are 100% in it, and everybody else is getting rich off of it while we get poor. We are designed to be the consumers in this system. We are the making up the line outside of the Louis Vuitton store, making up the line outside of the Gucci store. And meanwhile, the people who are owning the Louis Vuitton stock and the Gucci stock are the ones who are getting rich, but we're never taught about that. We are taught that the American dream means that you are walking around in your Louis Vuitton and your Gucci, and that somehow means that you have attained what American success looks like. But that's not what we know now. That's not what American success truly means. And to your point about if you have money, you can affect change around you. Look, I had to work an entire career after that loss. I had to build up an entire nest egg again before I could go and start this venture Goal Setter. But if I didn't have that new nest egg, if I didn't have that money behind me, I would have never been able to start Goal Setter, which is truly designed to liberate our next generation of kids and put them on a path of financial freedom. But if we don't have Black folks who can take those risks, who can start these businesses, who can create solutions for our community is never going to have the solutions that we need.
It's interesting because just the other day I was talking with my money manager, and I was like, okay, so there's almost 300,000 in this account. There's like almost $500,000 in this account. Okay, are we talking about merging them? What are we trying to do with it? Because what you're laying out. Again, and people who are listening understand, I'm 53, 54 in November. And so the reality is it's illogical for our people to abide by this notion of work your ass off until you're 65 and then you bank on Social Security. No.
No, 100% no, because we do that and we all know that the Social Security system isn't waiting there for us like we are waiting there for it. Instead, if you look at some very simple math and statistical numbers that talk about the history of investing in the stock market in this country, and you project those forward, if you invested $100,000 today, Roland, based on the last 50 years of stock market returns, which have been roughly 7% per year, in 30 years, you would have $761,000. So $100,000 today in the stock market. And by the way, you're not even picking particular stocks. You don't know about the stock market. You're putting it into a mutual fund. You're putting it into an ETF. You're putting it into a diversified set of stocks. 30 years from now, you're waking up to $761,000. I told a group of young men at Morehouse that, the freshman class at Morehouse that, and they rushed up on the stage after my talk and said, Miss Tanya, you just changed my life. We are thirsting for this kind of knowledge, but no one is bringing it to us, and they're certainly not bringing it to us in ways that we can connect with and that we can get and that makes sense to us as a people based on the fact that we've never had financial education. We get all kinds of education in school. We graduate from high school knowing about the periodic table, but nobody thinks to teach us about the stock market. Isn't that a little peculiar?
Well, and people who don't understand the reality of the Freedmen's Bank or the Freedmen's Bureau, that's actually what it was designed to do. It was created after the Civil War ended. Lincoln gets killed, and then, of course, after his death, a racist becomes president. The money is squandered. Those black people lost, according to the Skip Gates documentary and Reconstruction, they lost the equivalent today of $3 billion. That money was never paid back. And that's what the Freedmen's Bureau was there to teach financial literacy to freed people of African descent. But then, of course, it crashed. And so we've sort of been just, plotting and trying to figure our way. And every generation is, oh, we need financial literacy. We need it. But it has to become as simple as us drinking water or even breathing. So with the app, how has it gone thus far? And are you targeting a particular age group, or is it African Americans of any age and background?
It's funny that you asked that, Roland, because when we started off, we said we were for kids, kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, every age of kid. And we got Goal Setter out there into the hands of kids, and it literally started to transform their lives. But it didn't just transform their lives, it transformed their families' lives too. So we had kids like 13-year-old Taijay in Brooklyn, New York. NBC News talked to her and said, what do you love best about Goal Setter? She said, the thing that I love best is that Goal Setter teaches me things about money I never knew I was supposed to know. I thought money was all about saving some and spending some, but now I know it's about frugality and compound interest and the rule of 72. And so we were teaching kids, how to move away from this talk about money being all about spending and saving, because neither of those ever made you rich. Taijay knows that money is about not spending your money, frugality, and it's about investing and compound interest to make sure that money is working for you. But when we were reaching kids like Taijay, guess what? Their parents started calling us and saying, hey, my child showed up at the dinner table tonight talking about the rule of 72, and I have no idea what she's talking about. How can I learn from Goal Setter 2? How can I begin saving? How can I begin investing in this ecosystem that is going to support me and not just leave me out there to figure it out on my own. And so Goalsetter is now a family-based platform that is truly meeting the needs of every member of the family as an on-ramp to financial wellness, an on-ramp to saving, an on-ramp to investing, an on-ramp to financial education. And one thing you should know, Roland, because I'm very proud of, is the FinTech Breakthrough Awards just proclaimed Goalsetter to be the best personal finance app of 2022. And that wasn't just for kids. It wasn't just for families. It was the best personal finance app, hands down, period.
All right, questions from our panel. Robert, I'll start with you.
I think this is an outstanding endeavor, outstanding idea. I'm one of those people that's completely financially illiterate. Ask me to tell you about the Peloponnesian War, I got you. Ask me to tell you about a mutual fund, I'm lost. I mean, completely. For people who are a little bit older, up there in age, who want to try to get their financial house in order, stop keeping stuff in the coffee can under the bed, what resources are there, or what are the things that you provide for them where maybe they can learn if they feel like they're on the same level as a kid learning these things now?
Robert, I love that you asked that question, and there should be no shame in your game because every adult who I talk to has not gotten any financial education. Roland just talked about the last effort was when the Freedmen's Bank was in existence. We all know how long ago that was. So none of us has gotten financial education, and we hear your same question from adults all the time. So number one, we teach financial education through memes and GIFs from popular culture. So when Beyonce says, can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bills? We use that to explain Beyonce wouldn't need anyone to pay her bills. If she would just say for an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of her expenses, Beyonce could pay for her own bills. And now all of a sudden, Robert, you know how much your emergency fund should be, right? 3 to 6 months of your expenses, go save that first. We then start talking about things like investing and compound interest, but all through popular culture. So it makes it fun, it makes it engaging, it makes it palatable. And we are sending you one of these quizzes every single week. We even attach our quizzes to our debit card with a rule called Learn Before You Burn. So your debit card will automatically freeze on Sunday morning, or your kid's debit card will automatically freeze on Sunday morning if they haven't taken their financial literacy quiz for the week yet. And the minute you take that quiz, the card will unfreeze again. So we are really walking people into financial education broadly. And then we're about to launch a new game that is exclusively for adults, Robert, that's kind of like the Jeopardy game that you see on television where you say, hey, Alex, I'll take, mortgages for 100. It's kind of like that. You choose a category that you want to learn about. We provide fun TikTok-like videos to teach you about that category and then fun quizzes to deepen your knowledge.
Lauren.
I was just looking at the website and I see the cashola card. Can you talk more about the cashola card? I love the name. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. So, lots of folks in our country have a teen and tween debit card. And lots of our folks in our country have gone out and bought a teen and tween debit card from one of our competitors that does not have a single Black executive. This is exactly what Roland was talking about earlier. But they have a whole lot of money because that's who gets funded in this country to create products that they sell to our people. Our people buy their products and make them rich. And meanwhile, Black-owned companies don't get any money from venture capitalists to launch products that are actually really good for our community and our customers. So if you're one of those folks who has a teen and tween debit card from another company, I would ask you to just compare that debit card to the cashola card. So you just asked about the cashola card. There are two things I want you to know. One is the cashola card is a debit card. It's not a credit card. You can't overdraw it. And it is exclusively created for adults, teens, tweens, whoever in your family needs it. Number two, the cashola card is what comes with that Learn Before You Burn feature. So it has financial education quizzes attached to it. If you have an 8-year-old, the financial education quizzes are at their level. An 18-year-old, they're at their level. For yourself, those financial education quizzes are at your level and talking about things you need to know. The third thing is it also comes with a rule called Learn to Earn. And so if you are a nicer parent than I am, you can actually pay your kids for every quiz question they get right on a weekly basis. You can choose to pay them a dime, a quarter, a dollar. We only open up 10 quiz questions a week, so you won't go broke paying your child. But Your child has to score 8, 9, or 10 on each one of those quizzes in order for them to open up the following week's quiz. So they can take this week's quiz as many times as they want to master the material, but then they have but that's what they need to do, score 8, 9, or 10 to open up another quiz the following week.
Monique?
This is fabulous. I've got 3 teens, and they have every manner of all those other cards, but it will be cashola from here on. I love it. I'm just kind of wondering. I know that you're not in the business of doing psychology or psychiatry, but it would seem to me that kids could easily like leapfrog the parents' learning. Are there vehicles available for teens to share the information that they're learning with a parent that, like you said, I mean, it's never too late to start, but the fact of the matter is, one of the reasons why our economic power is on what we're wearing. This is from Target, y'all. There ain't no need to ever be impressed with me because I haven't figured it out. But we're wearing and riding our stuff, and now our teens are coming behind with the lessons. How do they inform and help us?
That is such a great question. And it really is why we opened up Goal Setter to be for every member of the family, because we heard from adults. They were saying, no, actually we saw, I remember there was one of our customers, she lived out in California and her name was Emma. And Emma only had 1 child, but Emma had 3 kids on her profile. I was like, Emma, where did these other 2 kids come from? One was her and one was her husband. She said, Tanya, you haven't allowed us to open up Goal Setter for ourselves yet. And we love learning through this tool so much that my husband and I want to use it to learn, but we're also using it to save for their own goals. Goal Setter has auto-save capabilities, so you can save towards goals. We have roundups where you can swipe your Chase debit card or your Bank of America debit card and round up to the nearest $1 all the way through $5 every time you're swiping that card and save some of that money. So we have great savings capabilities. We have investing capabilities where you or any member of the family can begin investing. This is adults too. So we walk you into investing, and we have a learning mode in the investment part of our app where if you don't understand a term, you just click on a button and one of those TikTok-like videos comes up and explains the term to you. So we are not even relying on the teens to bring their adults along. Now, obviously, through conversation at the dinner table, through the kids saying, hey, Mom, I'm ready to buy my first stock. By the way, that happened to me. I spoke at the Stanford Black Alumni Association event about a month ago. And a woman walked up to me afterwards and she said, Tanya, we are a Goal Setter family. I had no idea there was a Stanford Black alumni behind it. Now that makes it even better. She said, but I have to give you a story. My 10-year-old daughter just took one of your financial literacy quizzes 2 weeks ago. And she came up to me afterwards and said, Mommy, I just took a financial education quiz on investing. I'm ready to buy my first stock. And that's what's going to do it, because particularly as Black parents, as Black mothers, we will do for our children what we won't do for ourselves. So when our
100.
kids, right? So when our kids are saying, hey, I'm ready to buy my first stock, that makes us say, uh-oh, let me go ahead and dip my toe in. I think I better learn a little something so I can teach them. And that's what we're hearing, and that's what we're seeing, and that's the beautiful part about it. We're changing families, we're changing households, we're changing conversations, and hopefully we're changing our culture. We don't want our culture to just be talking about Nike shoes. We want them to be talking about their Nike stock and their Nike stock portfolio.
And as I keep telling you, I'm tired of us having surviving conversations. We should be having thriving conversations. Tanya Van Court, CEO and founder of Goal Setter. Folks, check the app out. Tanya, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me here. I appreciate you.
All right, folks, that is it for us. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much, Robert, Lauren, and Monique. Thank you so very much, folks. I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, download the Black Star Network app on all available platforms: Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. If you want to support our Bring the Funk fan club, send a check on money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-01. 0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Folks, thank you so very much. Appreciate all of you being here, and we will see you tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow also, 8 p.m. will be the start of the primetime hearing into the January 6th domestic terror event that took place at the Capitol, or what Jack Del Rio called a dust-up. It wasn't just that. Folks, thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow.